This radio show is a paid placement. Welcome to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. I'm Mark Elliott. Mindy McIntosh, of course, the founder and president of McIntosh and Associates, started the company in 2004. Nolan McIntosh, he'll help you with all your market investments. Are you taking too much risk in your portfolio? Not enough risk? The right amount of risk? How do we know? We don't really know. I think it's a great opportunity for you to come in and sit down with a team at McIntosh and Associates. Just kind of find out where you are on your road to retirement. The number is 877-222-8849. There's no cost. There's no obligation. There is no pressure. Mindy, Nolan, and the team are here to help. They just don't know if they can help to chat with them. 877-222-8849. And, of course, you can always find out more on the website, wealthmichigan.com. wealthmichigan.com. And Mindy, I suppose the open enrollment, we're going to talk about it in our final segment today, but open enrollment for Medicare October 15th through December 7th. Do you have information on the website or give you a call? How's that work?
Absolutely both. So if you are looking into a time to either review new plan details or you're aging into Medicare, or you want to talk about, the new added benefits and additional features that they are rolling out again in 2023, go to our website at wealthmichigan.com. You can also call our office at 877-222-8849, or online you can even schedule a strategic review and we can go through all of your Medicare needs. And I'm happy to do so as we transition into 2023 plan year with Medicare and supplemental and Advantage and prescription plans.
So again, that's 877-222-8849 or the website, wealthmichigan.com. Open enrollment for Medicare, and it's the Advantage plans and the drug plans and all that kind of stuff if you need to. And things change, and you don't even know it sometimes. So Mindy and the team are here to help. It's a great opportunity for you. It's October 15th through December 7th. It's every year the same dates. So there you have that. And it's crazy to think that we're already in the fourth quarter, but that's where we are. We're almost, I guess, to the fourth quarter. And it is crazy, Nola, when you think about it. The first half of 2022, a lot of volatility in the markets. Then it kind of smoothed out a little bit. Then it got bumpy again. As you're the market guru at McIntosh and Associates, what's your prediction? Because I'm sure you've got a crystal ball or something that knows what's going to happen, right? Are we going to be volatile in the rest of the year and maybe even into next year? How do you see it?
Oh, 100%. I don't think there's going to be any. Now, to be fair, you got to remember market volatility is natural. I mean, there's a 16% swing usually in any given year, but usually 80% of the time, the market still ends up positive. It's really interesting how I think we compartmentalize this a little bit, as investors, that we just kind of look at year-to-dates and how am I doing this year versus looking at long-term strategies. And I think that's just obviously human nature to do that. And really, ultimately, we really shouldn't be. We should be looking at long-term growth strategies. But with that being said, inflation's still not under control. Interest rates are still going to rise. So those are two big things that obviously are going to persuade the market to be volatile. And we're still, we're still dealing with this Russia-Ukraine thing. I mean, winter is coming for those European countries. And if we don't think the energy is going to be an issue for those countries and we're not going to have to help them out, I think that if we're part of the European Union, then that's one of the things that, if we're going to help out the European Union, then we're going to have to be a part of that. So I think there is some volatility coming, but I think we also have to look at this too as a strategy-wise. I think so many people get caught up in watching indexes, and yes, they do sometimes give us a forecasting on how individual companies are going to do, but you got to remember it's a broad index, and that's not necessarily how we invest for our clients. We invest in different types of strategies. We invest in different types of companies that sit on different indexes like small caps and mid caps and some other alternative things that we look at. So we want to make sure from a holistic plan standpoint that we take volatility in consideration, but not necessarily control it and make our decisions based on that. So yes, I do think there's probably some volatility coming, but for most of our clients, they're not worried about it because we have a really good holistic plan that doesn't really necessarily have to worry about that.
So if you're not a client of McIntosh and Associates and you think you're going to be okay, I hope I'm going to be okay, I think I've got enough to retire, but you don't really know. It's really about the plan, and this is where the area that I think it becomes really important. How much risk are you taking? Is it the right amount? Too much? What happens if? 877-222-8849 if you'd like to chat with Nolan and the team at McIntosh and Associates about where you are in the investment world. And so you have questions, 877-222-8849. Mindy, it's always interesting to me. The funny thing is when the markets went down this year, I thought, I'm just going to look at my 401k, see what happened. And I'm like, oh, it's down $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Okay. That means that I'm buying more. That's a good thing. I need more growth, so it's okay if it goes down. It's going to buy more. Why do we look at, if you're going to shop for your 3 girls' back-to-school clothes, you like to find a sale, I would think. But when the market goes on sale, we get antsy, and we want to pull out. Why is that?
It's human nature to throw that emotion in there, right, Mark? So I think a big thing that we're seeing with folks, and it's all walks of life, right? And we do like to make sure that we help everyone. But those that are looking in the lens of, oh my goodness, I continue to see a minus or a parenthesis in my investment accounts, or I'm checking it daily, or my monthly statement is down. If we have too many eggs in one basket too, and everything lying on hopefully one win, that's generally speaking not a good thing. So to use more diversification, to make sure that we're talking and setting a plan. So many listeners today, they're just worried about, am I going to have enough money? Can I retire? Oh no, did this set my plan back a couple years of what's happening today? So having a plan to help create reliable future income when you retire just means that your accounts in the 401ks and Roth IRAs and investment accounts, they should be more actively looked at so that we're not just riding the waves of what's happening. On the flip side, those people that have a longer time horizon to retirement, sure, it's a different lens to look through. If you're contributing, you're actively using dollar cost average, and you're going and investing into yourself and into your retirement and choosing yourself first, yeah, it does give you more buying power. It's like buying things on sale. Same as we look right now at, conversions and looking at taxable items and tax-free investment opportunities so that your investments can be on sale. Taxes are more on sale right now. So if you can contribute more, and if you can stomach, depending where you're at in your journey of realizing that the market's not really favorable to me today, it actually is from a contribution standpoint. It does give you more buying power. So all the ladies listening who like to buy things on sale, whether it's food or clothing or shoes, you name it, this is also a good opportunity to not only be investing when we do see the market down a little bit, but also a time to, really look at a solid tax plan. We truly feel that taxes are going up. And if we can help you to convert into more tax-free money today in 2022, the further ahead you are in the future, especially when we're looking at today's environment. If you're worried about market risk, it's a great time then that, you schedule a strategic visit. You call the office here at 877-222-8849. We can go ahead and take a look at risk, overall risk of the portfolio, should things be rebalanced. And if you're worried about, oh my goodness, do I have a solid plan for retirement with increased healthcare costs and inflation? And what about taxes? And oh my goodness, can I really live, 30 years in retirement? Then let's, make an offer to show you an income plan and get a strategy put in place for you. So if you're listening in that too, and you want to know more about some of those either opportunity zones, or if you're just not feeling real comfortable when you see your statements and see your accounts, please reach out to us here, even on the web at wealthmichigan.com, and we're happy to look at that with you.
And of course, the number 877-222-8849. No cost to chat with the team. 877-222-8849. And the rising interest rate environment, the Fed is certainly trying to battle inflation. And Jerome Powell has said, hey, we're probably going to keep raising the interest rates. So in March, the Fed raised the interest rates 0.25%, May 0.5%, June and July 0.75%. Well, the next meeting is Tuesday, 2 days from now. So that is coming up. And then they have another meeting November 1st, and then the final meeting of the year is December 13th. So that's when the Federal Reserve meets. They've been talking about still, looks like another 0.75% raise is what they're going to be talking about this week. So we'll see how that plays out. Nolan, is this a difficult time for somebody to retire because of the turmoil?
Absolutely not. It just depends on how your plan is set. If you don't have a plan, then yeah, it probably is. We're talking with a client yesterday. He's like, yeah, I moved, more to bonds to be conservative, but I don't know if that was a smart move. And we might agree that might be some bond alternatives we want to look at instead of, just sticking and trying to be more conservative. And, kind of Mindy's point too, we want to make sure we hedge inflation too. So we can also be the other way, too conservative. Well, I'm just going to put it in cash. I'm going to retire, this year, and I'm going to put in cash so at least I know what I have. Well, you don't know what you have because obviously inflation's still out of control, because that's still going to create some purchasing power issues. So for us, we have to look at that plan and see, individually for each of our clients, what is the best way going forward. And with interest rates, they're going to raise again. I think just the Europe Central Bank did 0.75 of a point not too long ago. So we're going to be doing it again because inflation reading last we knew was 8.6%. So still not at that 3% that they want to be at. So we know it's happening. So for us, and some of this stuff is also, some people just come to us and ask the question of how should I be looking at car loans or a mortgage or something of that nature. And that changes our viewpoint now. Before we would have recommended possibly not paying off the mortgage because your interest rate was 2%. Or now, if your mortgage is 6%, we might make a different recommendation now. So we try and make the environment, make our changes with what the current environment is and with interest rates. And so questions and even simple things like that we can help walk through. 877-222-8849. Very easy for us. And we like to think that we're very easy to talk to, no obligation, just very easy and getting some people some education. If we just leave you better just by coming in, that's Mindy and I's goal.
877-222-8849. There's no cost for this. I don't know why you wouldn't take advantage. An opportunity to find out where you are on your road to retirement. 877-222-8849. Back with more with Mindy and Nolan. This is Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Back right after this.
According to the U.S. debt clock, in the time you hear this commercial, our nation's debt will go up by $1.5 million. That's $2 billion a day, $15 billion a week. Right now, our debt is more than $30 trillion and climbing fast. The question is, how do we pay it off? The answer is increasing taxes. Now, think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now, when rates are historically low, or later, when rates are potentially higher? Whether you should pay taxes now or in retirement depends on a lot of things. Mindy and Nolan McIntosh and the team at McIntosh & Associates know what to look for. Mindy and Nolan can help you create a plan so your retirement is as tax efficient as possible. Call 877-222-8849 to set up a visit with Mindy and Nolan McIntosh and McIntosh & Associates. That's 877-222-8849. Firm offers insurance services and may not give tax advice. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Get started today to develop your own dream-focused wealth plan with the team at McIntosh & Associates. Schedule a complimentary first visit today. Call 877-222-8849.
Glad you're with us today for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Mindy McIntosh, Nolan McIntosh. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're here. You want to find out more about the team at McIntosh & Associates, wealthmichigan.com, wealthmichigan.com. If you have questions about anything that pertains to retirement, your financial world, hey, should we sell the house, be debt-free going into retirement? Does it make sense if I pull it all out of the IRA? Well, taxes are a factor. You better sit down and talk with somebody that understands that, and Mindy and Nolan certainly can help. 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. Now, this is not going to be a topic that's going to be fun to talk about, but it's one of those topics that it's going to happen, basically, is how we have to look at it. There's no way to truly prepare for something as devastating as the death of a spouse, right? It's important to realize, though, you probably at that time, you will not be able to make great decisions because of the grief. So the idea is you put plans together in case something would happen so that at least the financial part, you're not worrying about that. The emotional part, we know that's going to be a challenge. And Mindy, to me, I think this is one of the biggest parts, one of the greatest things you do for clients is when a husband passes, the widow comes in, and you can ease their mind about the money because you've already got the plan in place. But this has got to be one of the more difficult parts of being a retirement planning firm like you have at McIntosh & Associates.
It really is. I mean, it's not a fun part of anybody's journey, right, to see somebody that's hurting emotionally, let alone physically, right? But part of our journey here is making sure that, most of our visits here, if it's a married couple, we like to see both of them in the office, even if it's, sometimes it's a husband, sometimes it's the wife that kind of handles the financials. But we really like to see both of them, not every time, but so that way the other spouse has a good idea of knowing what one loved one has in mind for them. And just how we see so much sincerity in our clients of protecting the wife or protecting the husband should that person pass away first, and how they want to have a normally sustainable income plan. And we do a lot of timing out of not only the retirement timeline, but so many times we're helping folks plan, the when and whys and how to draw Social Security. And so many times that comes into play just earlier this week. Actually, the husband happens to be about 6 years older than his wife. And so he was talking about questions that he had on when we should start drawing Social Security for him. He's going to be 65 here soon and doesn't have it turned on yet. So we were talking about not only with their investment journey and health and other timeline things, we were talking about if he were to pass away first, what the widow benefit might look like to his wife, who wasn't as high of an income earner, so his Social Security is higher, and just even things of the pieces of the puzzle to make sure that when that event happens for someone, when that spouse comes in, they have already a written financial plan. And they also have what's called a final needs analysis that we do with folks. And unfortunately, even over the last couple of weeks, there's been a couple of estates that we're helping on even currently that we're walking through. And it's so important to be able to know the things that we help with here and also other reminders we give, like contacting, notifying employers or prior employers, the Social Security Administration. What about the attorney that needs to help? Or what about bank titling, right? So if they were single or widowed, there happens to be a single person right now that we're helping with the estate, and we had to help strategically set up and format so that way household bills are still being paid via the bank account so that it wasn't froze at the time that this particular person passed away. So there's so many things that those folks that lost the loved ones, they're in a fog for a while. So it's so important to have a financial professional to be able to walk through some kind of checklist items, how we can help them with that, who they would want to contact for certain, let's even say, properties and such. And if you don't currently have, if you're listening and you don't currently have either that written plan, you don't have kind of a final needs, a checklist, please go to either our website at wealthmichigan.com. You can find it there. Reach out to the team here at 877-222-8849, or you can schedule a, just like a strategic visit with one of our members of the team here so that we can actually walk through, hey, what are some things that maybe I should have in order? So when something happens to me, there's a good plan in place of where are we going to go? How are we going to get it figured out? What steps are we walking through? Do we have appropriate beneficiaries updated? And make sure that you're reviewing those beneficiaries as well. We're seeing that time and time again that folks need to be sure they're updating those.
877-222-8849. And that's one of the keys. I mean, do I have enough? Will my money last as long as I do? But one of the other big concerns that people have is, will my loved ones be okay if something happens to me? And it's about putting a plan in place, not after the fact, before, right? Because the emotional part's going to be really difficult. And the team at McIntosh & Associates are here to help guide you through this. They certainly had to do it before. I mean, Mindy started the company in 2004. So they've dealt with this. They don't like it. Nobody does, but it's a part of life. 877-222-8849. Because you think about it, Nolan, typically, according to the World Health Organization, women live between 6 to 8 years longer than men. And so you and Mindy are the same age. So basically, Mindy's only going to be, in theory, right, by the numbers, only by herself for 6 years. But I would think she would replace you pretty quickly, so that would work out fine for her. But you think about it. That is something, I think you have a lot of clients, the men are concerned about their wife. If something happens to them, because they typically will go first, but that's not always the case. I mean, wives could go before the husbands, right? I mean, there's no guarantee in any of this.
Yeah, there's no guarantee in any of it. And that's the challenge we have. And there's a really awesome book out there, that kind of speaks to the level of, because most of the time women, like Mindy said, stereotypically in the relationship are the ones that stick away from the finances and just trust their husband, which they should, in some aspects. But ultimately, it's really smart women finish rich. It's not really what that's the heading of the book, but it's not about talking about wealth. It's talking about how really spouses should know each other's. And we've had, unfortunately, some clients of ours that the spouse had passed away and they had no idea that there was a credit card that was started way back in 86 that was never paid off, and there's some credit issues and things. So just knowing finances and where things are at, not necessarily knowing all the ins and outs, is kind of key. And for us, that's kind of the important part too, because for us, we want people to know what their plan is, but they don't have to know all the ins and outs of how Mindy and I pick what we're picking and things of that nature. Now, some want to, but you don't have to. So that's why we have our job, and what we love to do is because we're able to do that for our clients. And so I think there has to be some base level knowledge on either way, either the husband or the wife or partner, or whatever you want to call it, to be able to, look at things and say, okay, this is what we're, dealing with. And we call it same page exercise. You have to be on the same page because some couples, have no idea what the other person is spending. And sometimes, it's an eye-opening experience for them. And I think there's some accountability there. And I think that helps with the Dream Focus Wealth Plan, because if we have one person that's a spender and the other isn't, well, that might affect the Dream Focus Wealth Plan. And sometimes it kind of gives the other partner an idea of what's important to the other person. And one person might say they want to travel, well, the other person might not, right? So there has to be a reality there from the standpoint of if you're going to get into retirement, you want to enjoy those years together, hopefully. That's the big thing. So I think it's important just to have a plan, to have some knowledge on what's going on, to have, something in your hands. That way, if something were to happen to the other spouse, you know who to contact. And that's what's great. A lot of our clients know that if something were to happen to them, or they ask the question, well, who do they contact? And we're like, contact us. We're the ones that are going to help you walk through this and help you get through this, because the emotional side it is a tough piece of the puzzle to go through on its own. When you know that you have somebody that's working on things to get through it with you. On the financial side, then it takes the emotion, it lets you be able to do what you're supposed to do naturally, which is grieve and, spend the time worrying about that stuff instead of the other. So, and the other aspect of it is, a lot of people don't think about this, but income does change, right? One of the Social Securities would fall off. Possibly, if there's a pension involved, maybe they don't get all the pension that they were receiving prior. There might not be, 100% to survivor there. So, it's nice that we try and plan for that if something were to happen to the other spouse, how do we fill the gap of income if there's something to happen? Because not all of your expenses are cut in half. Taxes are still going to be the same, if not worse. That's why we try and help and say, okay, we need to think about these other aspects of it too, because it's just not that you may not be getting the same income. So 877-222-8849. We take something complex and make it simple. So that way, it's very easy to understand. So that's why we think it's really a great thing to come in visually and look at it. And again, no obligation. Again, that number is 877-222-8849. Be able to sit down and go through that.
So, Mindy, just a couple of minutes left in this segment. We're going to talk more about this. We're going to kind of get into some of the things that Nolan just mentioned as well in the next segment. But you think about all the stuff that you do for your clients at the same time, there is pressure on the clients. I mean, if a spouse passes away, so when you're doing the Dream Focus Wealth Plan and creating that with your clients, right, the income, the investment, the taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, all of that, do they end up with a binder that has, here's where all the stuff is? If something happens to the other spouse, here's what, go to this, and it'll have directions kind of a thing?
It's pretty nice. Yes, they do. So they have a binder of their Dream Focus Wealth Plan that shows, and every time that we do a strategic plan, we update, kind of where things are at, if any things were changed. And then we have a separate, final needs list. So when something like that were to happen, they literally come in with that binder. And even some of our single folks, their loved ones then come in with this binder and they say, okay, we kind of see where, even bank accounts were at, what real estate they might have owned, or if they had life insurance, what their investments look like. They're drawing Social Security. And then we start going through a planning list of what we need to do with not only those accounts and financials, but also, who needs death certificates and what the timeline is of that. Questions that they might have about, hey, what were kind of their goals or wishes or hopes, depending on if they were on the same page, and we can look up those notes, and it makes it more of a warm experience for them. If you don't have this in your hand and you're thinking, gosh, you know what, just need to be more prepared, please reach out to us here at 877-222-8849. If you're a local, stop by the office to start a visit, and we'd be happy to walk through that together.
Yes, and of course, there's a lot of moving parts in all retirement planning, and certainly this is one of the more emotional parts, losing a spouse. That's why it's so important that you're working with a team that's here to help and walk right alongside of you. As Mindy and Nolan have said, the number is 877-222-8849, located right in Freeland, here to help. 877-222-8849. We're going to discuss more about this serious topic when we come back. This is Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes.
If you're close to retirement, you probably hear about Medicare all the time. When to sign up, how to sign up, what your options are. But have you heard how you might be able to lower your future Medicare costs with proper planning before you retire? It's true. The McIntosh and Associates team can show you how. It's not for everyone, but you could potentially save in future Medicare premiums. See if this strategy could work for you. Call McIntosh and Associates now to set up your visit to start working on your plan. 877-222-8849. That's 877-222-8849. If you want to pay the lowest price for your future Medicare coverage, start planning today. Set up your visit now with the McIntosh and Associates team. Call 877-222-8849. Firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Medicare open enrollment begins October 15th. If you have questions about your current plan or starting a new one, call the team at McIntosh and Associates, 877-222-8849.
Welcome back to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. I'm Mark Elliott. Mindy and Nolan are here, and we're talking about a topic that nobody really wants to think about. We all know that it happens, and that is the loss of a spouse. Very unlikely that both husband and wife will pass away on the same day, same time, what have you. Car wreck, certainly, but it's not typical, right? My dad passed away in 2008. My stepmom is still going. So what are we, 14 years down the road? So it's not unusual for that to be the case, that the husband passes and then the wife is by herself for a while. That is the challenge, because you think about it. We've talked about this before. When you have a husband passes away, well, the wife was there for them at the end. Who's there for the wife at the end of her time? Mm-hmm. That's where kids certainly come into play and all of that. But it's really important to have a plan in place. And that's what the team at McIntosh and Associates can do for you. Is we know this is a really emotional time, but the more planning you've done, the easier that the money-wise and the financial and will we be okay, those kind of things will be taken care of. The emotional side, yeah, that's a different story. 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. This is really important. If you love your family, you would do this kind of planning. Nolan, you brought this up in the last segment. I don't know if everybody realizes that when a spouse passes, that the bills probably aren't going to be cut in half. That's not how that works. Maybe the food bill does, I don't know. But most things are not going to be cut in half. And we're going to lose things. Can you kind of walk us through that again? Because that's really important, I think people understand. And that's why, for one, Social Security becomes a big decision.
Yeah, not just Social Security, but, you know, we have a current client, unfortunately, that they weren't our client when they made this decision. I think it's a very important decision that people don't understand the elections on pensions. And now I know pensions are kind of going by the wayside, but we'd love to help our clients walk through pensions and what their options are there, because we have a client that unfortunately they took the higher payout and the husband is 12 years older, I think, than the spouse. And more than likely he's going to pass, number one, because of life expectancy tables and because he's much older. But they did 100% to him, no to survivor. That is a major part of income that is going to be gone for her. So we like to help walk through the pension plans, and a lot of people don't realize it may be a better option to take it out of the pension plan and do something different with a lump sum option there. So we walk through our clients with that to try and help them there, so that way they don't have to maybe take such an income hit on the pension side. And same thing with Social Security. Just from a timing aspect of it, a lot of people don't realize that it can affect your overall income over lifetime if we don't time that out properly. A lot of people just think, oh, I'm going to turn around at 62 because I don't know what's going to happen with Social Security and I paid for it all these years. Well, that might not be the smartest thing to do, particularly if you're much older than your spouse or things of that nature, and depending on what your spouse's Social Security would be, things of that nature. So we want to make sure we time that out properly. But the third thing, and one of the more important, I think that a lot of people don't realize,
is before you go into the third thing, would you explain, though, that you do lose the lower of the two? You do. You
lose the lower of the two. Yep. So you do get the better of the two. But unfortunately, if you're both collecting, let's say one's collecting $2,000, the other's collecting $1,000, you'll lose the $1,000. That's a pretty big shift per month in income, in our opinion. So
you could lose. So you could lose some or all of a pension. You will lose the lower of the two Social Securities, and now there's a third whammy you're going to tell us about.
The third whammy is, you only get to, in the year that your spouse passes, you still get to file jointly. But a lot of people don't know that there's income brackets that are literally, they're cut in half. I mean, literally, they are cut in half on where you start stepping up in different tax brackets when you start filing single. And so the issue is that, what's $80,000 of income for a joint is in the 12% bracket. That's the 24% bracket for a single. So that's the challenge, is that now you might double your taxes, based on what your income is. And so that's why a tax plan is so important, not just while, the person is deceased, but while they're alive. We have opportunities for us to do some tax strategies because the brackets are much larger filing jointly than they are when you're filing single. So that's why we talk about it every show, I think, is that I think a lot of people listen and are like, yeah, that's a good idea, and then they just kind of let it go. And the time to do it is now, because the planning, it takes years for us to be able to help out and make those changes. We don't want to necessarily do it in one given year. So that's why, and we know taxes are going to change. And so that's why now is the time for us to really, in my opinion, to be a little bit more active on looking at tax strategies, not only just because of current, but because of futuristic. If something were to happen to the spouse, we can set them in a better position if we start implementing tax strategies now, and then we don't have to maybe not worry about tax brackets as much, because now there's only one filing single on taxes. So 877-222-8849, very easy for us, and we again visually try and show how easy it is for us to help walk through that with you guys.
So really, when you think about it, income, investment, taxes, those are the first three pillars of the Dream Focused Wealth Plan. So let's say you're going to retire at 62. So you need to have all three of those pillars done by the age of 60. Then when it comes to the healthcare part, Mindy, we don't need that until we're in our 70s or 80s. And then, of course, legacy and estate planning, we don't need that until we're in the 90s. So we'll wait on those two pillars. But that's not how it works, right? Because we have no guarantee that we're here tomorrow, let alone 20, 30 years down the road. So it's about putting the plan together, the Dream Focused Wealth Plan. Because to me, Mindy, what you guys do, and touch on how life insurance maybe plays into this loss of a spouse, because to me, what you do is you don't know our end date. You don't know if we're going to have health issues. And those are two of the biggest question marks that you have when you're putting the Dream Focused Wealth Plan together. Life insurance might help in those situations.
So the thing with life insurance is, there's different types of life insurance that we're utilizing for folks and at different ages and different segments of your life. But the nice thing about life insurance is it does process quickly for folks that need the extra funds. It helps to give that person that lost a loved ones a little bit of relief depending on their financial situation, and none of it is taxable. So they don't have to worry about gains or what are they paying taxes on and what about early withdrawals. And once we process the paperwork forms and death certificate within something of life insurance, the process happens very quickly. So we can really readily help streamline that for folks. Other times we're looking at how do we look at the estate, and people have different opportunities within different investment platforms, right? So if they have a series of investment accounts and bank accounts, they have life insurance, they have annuities and so on. Some of those products, even sometimes the annuities, they have to decide, are we taking it all now or are we drawing it within 5 years? 10-year rule on other withdrawal strategies. So the life insurance gives them the opportunity to, maybe if you still have debt, we're looking at debt items. It might be that you're still supporting a younger family. So do you need to back down from your current career for now? But the life insurance gives you this segment of play, and some just have it for final expense needs. Hey, it's going to cover your funeral, burial, and such. This is what we earmarked for the life insurance segment, and these are the rest of our plays within our account. But the advantage there is that it can process quickly and it's tax-free for us to segment out what is actually happening within that portion to make other areas of your financial positioning a little bit easier on you, depending on what you're really looking to do with the funds and what the earmark goal was for your family. So if you're wondering, gosh, I thought maybe we didn't need life insurance, or I don't want life insurance, I don't want to pay a premium for it, or the comp is high on some of this, let's take a look at it as what is actually going to help your family the most, whether we're looking for a final needs plan or if we are actually looking to provide sustainable just funding for the family that is tax-free for you. Please call our office at 877-222-8849, and we're happy to help you out.
So what is the deal? When you get to 60, is that when you start? I mean, I'm getting, now that I'm 62, I get in the mail all the time how that I can prepay for my funeral. Is that kind of the crossing point? Is that what you think at 60 or
kind
something?
of the age that you start receiving that. And, as we get older, right, a lot of people are then out of debt as we get older, feel more sustainable in their financial journey. So they're feeling like, hey, the $100, $500, $1 million life insurance policies that they had, they no longer need. And so they're saying, do I need life insurance at all? But sometimes it's nice not to make the other loved ones have to worry about, okay, which portion in their financial journey are they earmarking for their final expense. Let's just set that through a life insurance that just covers funeral and burial, and it just it segments out things, and it makes it easier for folks to understand and walk through, and it's not real expensive. So if you want to look at the numbers, reach out to us here, 877-222-8849, and we are happy to do so for you.
So when you come in and sit down with Mindy and Nolan and the team at McIntosh and Associates, it just starts with a discovery meeting, right? They want to find out about your hopes, your dreams, your bucket list items. What are you going to do? How are you going to spend your time? I think people get caught up in, McIntosh and Associates, it's a financial planning firm. So it's all about money. It is not all about money. You have to have money to retire. That's why it starts with income. That is the first part of the Dream Focused Wealth Plan, because you got to replace the paychecks that are no longer coming in. But it's also about the relationships. And Mindy and Nolan, Mindy's been doing this for a long time, started the company in 2004, but they really have great relationships with their clients. It's not just a business for, it's not a sales industry. They're not trying to sell you anything. What do you need, though? What can we do to help you? It's a service industry is kind of where they are in this area. They're trying to help you. But do you think about it? So it starts with that discovery meeting. That's just a conversation about you and your situation. What are you going to do? How can we help? That's how it starts. 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. Why wouldn't you take advantage? Great opportunity. 877-222-8849. Back with our final segment right after this. This is Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Welcome back to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, Mindy and Nolan of McIntosh and Associates. You can always go to the website to learn more, wealthmichigan.com. A lot of great information there, wealthmichigan.com. You can always give them a call if you got questions, 877-222-8849, office located in Freeland, and of course, serving the Tri-City area. So they're here for you. That's what they're here to do. And Mindy, we're coming up on one of those times that is kind of near and dear to your heart. You really enjoy helping people with Medicare decisions. Advantage plans, supplements, Part Ds, drug plans, all those moving parts. And rumor has it companies can change their plans on us. So maybe we need to look at it. So explain this open enrollment period that every year falls from October 15th through December 7th, and you're here to help, right?
I sure am. So every single year, what we take a look at is maybe just a renewal opportunity for folks. They might be retiring. A lot of people retire at the end of the year. They might be turning 65 or eligible to Medicare. And there's a lot of information. And I realize that the general public is, I'm going to call it, blasted with information and calls now if you're in this 65 plus age category.
Hey, before you go on, can you explain? I'm 62, so I'm going to turn 65 in November of 3 years from now, so 2025. But what's your window? Do you have to sign up for this? 3 to 6 months?
So we can use your example. If you're turning 65 in November, you have the 3 months prior to November, the month of, and up to 3 months after to pick and choose your prescription plan. You have a 7-month initial election window, so there's no penalties. That's your initial window of opportunity to obtain Medicare, the hospital portion, A and the B outpatient, as well as then picking supplemental plans, prescription cards, if you want to do an Advantage plan, what you'd like for dental and vision and so on. But some folks are going to continue working. So some might continue working past the age of 65. We then talk about the when, whys, or hows of, do they really take Medicare? Or are they working for a company that has more than 20 employees, and is it credible coverage? So why would they move to Medicare in a Medicare plan versus staying with their company-sponsored plan?
So doesn't it make sense, though, if we're working even just to start Part A because it's free so that we don't get caught up in all those little things that Medicare can pop out on us?
Generally speaking, we like you to enroll in A when you're initially 65. However, if you're actively contributing to a health savings account or an HSA, you cannot have Medicare and contribute to the HSA. So depending on, how important it is to you to contribute there, have tax-free dollars, you're investing or drawing for healthcare expenses, it does matter of if you're actually going to apply for A now or wait. The B we would wait on if you're keeping employer-sponsored coverage, because why pay the $170 plus a month when it might not be necessary? So there's all these steps that we need to walk through together. Everyone's situation is different. And some are just already have a supplemental plan and they're hearing all these great things about Advantage plans and dental and seeing the doctor and having a flex card. And others just want to review what they currently have. Every year there's updates. Every year there's changes. There's formulary changes. There's coverage changes. I can really help as an independent. The programs that are available in Michigan, we can walk through what's most advantageous for them. So we just take a more consultant, nice approach to, let's take a look at what you have. Let's also take a look at your usage and prescriptions and how much you travel. It's so important to take a look at that because there's always changes. And if we can help you to improve your situation, I'm more than happy to do so. Now is the time to schedule a strategic Medicare visit with myself. You can do so at wealthmichigan.com. You can also call the office at 877-222-8849. And we are happy to help you walk through that journey and kind of cut through the clutter of the alphabet soup and all these calls and information coming to you. We'd be happy to provide it in a more concise manner to you.
So again, the open enrollment for Medicare is October 15th through December 7th. WealthMichigan.com to sign up, to find out more, and you can always call to set your own appointment. 877-222-8849.
Firm offers insurance services. McIntosh & Associates Incorporated is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, AEWM. AE Wealth Management and McIntosh & Associates Incorporated are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. McIntosh & Associates Incorporated is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by McIntosh & Associates Incorporated. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including, but not limited to, a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.